And so finally we find ourselves back in the frontal cortex, where the brain processing that deals with choice occurs. All that problematic processing before, in genes, reward, memory, and stress, arrives here, where the problem is only compounded. Far from being aloof from what happens below, the frontal cortex is entirely dependent upon it. Rationality, judgment, and choice are only possible if the hedonic and emotional processing the cortex receives is accurate. Free will, it turns out, is completely contingent upon the proper function of feeling. The theory that describes what goes wrong in the frontal cortex during addiction was developed by Dr. Peter Kavlivas at the Medical University of South Carolina and Dr. Nora Volkow, the director of the National Institute on Drug Abuse. They recognize that dopamine is important in the early stages of addiction. But the final common pathway in addiction is the glutamate neurons projecting back down from the frontal cortex. Kavlivas and Volkow's research is based on an important new tool that has only recently become available to neuroscience, the technology of brain scans. Brain scans are essentially photographs of the brain in action. Now, what these brain scans say exactly is still controversial, but Kavlivas and Volkow have found abnormal activity in the brain scans of addicts in two important areas of the cortex, the orbitofrontal cortex and the anterior cingulate cortex. These areas are critical for emotional attachment and decision-making. Kavlivas and Volkow believe that the abnormal activity here is the basis of the overwhelming importance the brain gives to drugs and the uncontrollable urge it feels to seek them. In addiction, the normal top-down control of the cortex over the midbrain simply fails. The addict's prior commitment to quit, their memory of what happened the last time they drank or used drugs, the love they feel for their family, the knowledge of the punishment they know awaits them if they relapse, when the cortex fails, these things are invisible to the addict.